What's going on today, guys? All right, so today I have my Philodendron Burle Marx, and I want to talk to you today about what decisions come to my mind when I'm about to purchase a plant. So let's get into it. Number one, budget versus value. There is a difference between the two because a budget means that you have done your research, you have gone to Google, you've typed in the name of that plant, and you figured out how much that plant should cost you because you don't want to go into a nursery and just assume that's the right price, right? So, with that being said, you write down your budget and that's what you stick to is that I'm not going to spend more than $10 if I see this plant. Be realistic. Online, those may not be exact prices. So you can add a few dollars to it. If a plant says online is for $10, then I'll give it $15 if I see it. Now, if I see that plant for $20 that I saw for $10 online, that's when we leave the budget and go to value section. Okay. So the value is only you can determine how much you're willing to pay for a plant. It may mean more to you. At some point, I was willing to pay $120 for a pink princess. Okay. Ask me if I do that now. Nope. Not knowing what I know now. But there are some plants that if I see, I was just willing to spend $135 like 6 months ago on a philodendron strawberry shake that I eventually got for $50 that to me is doing better than what that plant was doing in the store. But it came to value. I saw that plant as being valuable enough to be able to do that. And if the plant was healthier, I would have spent it. Budget and value is always something that I have to consider when I'm getting ready to purchase a plant. This plant right here, I purchased from Home Depot for $29. This plant has grown double its size since I've owned it. I used to own a cutting of one of these plants that I paid like $14 for. It never was going to get to this size, and I didn't even know it could even grow like this, really. I see a plant, I like a plant, I buy the plant, and sometimes I forget to do the research of it. We're changing our ways with that, though. And that's one thing that I want you to do. Always know what you're buying before you buy it because you want to make sure that you can give it the environment that it needs to thrive, or else you're going to just kill the plant or you're going to stress yourself out and ultimately kill the plant. Okay? So, number two, maintenance costs. I like philodendrons and pothos for the reason of they're cheap. Monsteras as well. I always leave monsteras out when I'm talking about philodendron and pothos because philodendron and pothos are just way easier to care for than a monstera. Even though a monstera is extremely easy as well. But maintenance costs, guys, when it comes to it with the philodendron, you can't get much cheaper than that. If you got to upgrade the pot, you're going to have to upgrade the pot on any plant you got. If you have to change the soil, you're going to have to change the soil based off of the environment that it was in, off of any plant you have. Same thing if you need to put it on a stake or on a pole. Philodendrons, you don't have to do that. Now, if you don't give a plant all they need in order to be able to thrive, they're not going to thrive. So you're not going to get the results that you see other people with if you aren't doing those things to encourage your plant to keep growing, to keep being something. It'll grow fine just as it is. And the good thing about them is that they'll be like, okay, well, this is what life is. They'll settle down and that's where they'll be at. Throw that into consideration of just all that I'm talking about as far as just the cheapest plant to basically maintain, and is also not going to die even when you don't give it everything that it needs. The maintenance cost is very, very relatively low when it comes to plant ownership. So that's not a factor. For this plant, but in any plant that you are getting, just be mindful of some of these plants need stuff like greenhouses or need like those IKEA glass cabinets because of humidity. So that means you need to have a humidifier. You need to have a good cabinet. You need to have probably great lighting. It's a lot of things that you have to pay a lot for in order to get those promising results, you know? So take that into consideration when you are choosing or selecting a plant, which is why you shouldn't just impulsively buy a plant, because that little $12 plant can end up costing you a whole lot more down the road, you know? So, which brings me to number three, rarity versus accessibility. If it's a plant that I know I'm just not going to find anywhere and I see it in front of me and it's a very rare plant, then I'm probably going to buy it. Now, if I'm just going into the grocery store and I see a healthy philodendron, heart leaf or a pothos that's just looking good, a neon pothos or something like that. Sometimes I do buy those. I know. But I know that the plant isn't special or anything, and I can get them out of any other store. So I'm not walking in there like, oh, it looks a little pitiful, but I really want one. No, I'll leave it. I'm not crazy. But sometimes when you go to them grocery stores, I bought a plant, a pothos plant for $9.98 that was selling in a store for like 20 to 30, but they just trying to go ahead and get, not 30, like 20 to 25 maybe. In a nursery, maybe they can get up to 25 with that size considering how it looked. I mean, the leaves was that big on it. But I have picked some up, but no, if those plants are looking not good, we don't get those because you can get them everywhere. So don't pay for something you can get way better for either for the same price or even cheaper. Okay. Number 4, the emotional connection part. Now, the only reason why I'm even throwing the emotional connection part in is because you may be rebuying or thinking about rebuying a plant that you lost. So instantly when you see it in the store, flashbacks come back to how you feel about it. And that's going to factor into, are you going to pay what the store is asking for that price? Because I don't know what your emotional connection may be. You may absolutely hate that plant, but because it died on you, you're determined to make it work. Well, you're not going to pay 2 or 3 times more for it, right? Versus you really like the plant, you thought you was giving it everything it needed, and then it just died on you or went left or you forgot about it, whatever may be the case. Somebody took it, whatever. Then you may be willing to pay a little bit more for that plant because of the emotional connection to it. But you really don't find out about that connection part if this is the first time of you buying that plant until you're going through it with the plant. Some plants, so easy going, you forgot you even bought the plant because you're buying another one because they just fit right on in. And some of them, they give you a run for your money. From the day you bring them home, they start trouble, So, that's when the connection truly starts. So now when I go into the store and I see that plant that's giving me a hard time at home, I'm like, But I go and see the plants that are doing good. I'm like, okay, y'all do good everywhere. Which brings me to 5, guys. Be honest with yourself. Can you handle that plant? Seriously. I know we all want to just jump straight in and get to it, but you lose a lot of money and break a lot of your heart while going through it. It's nothing like paying $200-300 for a plant. I have done it before. If you know you can't handle the plant, don't get it. Like, don't take on something that's just a little too much for you to be able to comfortably grow. You want to make sure that you're enjoying the journey. You want to see the plants grow. You want to see them thrive, but you don't want nothing that's going to overwhelm you to the point that you hate plants or that you hate that particular plant or you're just so stressed out. Now, of course, you can always do your research. Always hop on Google. You can ask friends. You can ask me. You can ask people who may have had that plant and had the experience that could tell you either, hey, don't do this because my plant died, or hey, this is what I did to get rid of it. Like, ask around. Don't just give up on a plant because, whatever. But just ask yourself that question like, hey, am I prepared for this plant before you even buy it so you could just avoid those risks? So with that being said, that's kind of my thought process whenever I go into any type of store to get ready to purchase a plant. And the same rules apply to if I'm online as well. I mean, be careful with going online because sometimes you can just type in one place and it pop up and you just assume that's what it is. And you buy something and it may not be that because there's a lot of mislabeling that goes around. Just make sure you do your research and make sure that you're getting something that's truly authentic. I know a lot of people order from like out the country. I don't have the patience to do that. And quite frankly, it's not a plant that's out the country that I can't get in the country for a price that I'm willing to pay for it. Now, when that does happen, oh yes, I'll order offline. I mean, out the country. I'm not against it. I'm just saying that I don't have a need for it right now. So I just know that just be careful because you can get scammed out of a lot of money when buying those plants from there. But buying like online, like your local places, even if like you go to Home Depot, I forgot what the name of whatever their local nurseries that's around the area, because every big box store has a local nursery that delivers, to them. just be mindful that you're just getting an authentic plant when it comes to that price. With that being said, hopefully you was able to learn something from there. Hopefully it helps you. And as always, when you're growing with Sean, there's always something to learn.